Hello strangers, maybe friends, come on. We can all be friends in the space of this video call. I'm Joe, and I made a joke online about starting an ASMR channel where I would like tenderly brush books. That's not what this video is going to be because I'm not like a total sound guy. Like I don't really have the microphone set up to do like you can really hear the book being touched thing. But it's the solstice today. I really like solstices. Even if you know me in real life, you might be like, oh, didn't really know that Joe was that much of a hippie, but I am in my heart, and I really love reading poems out loud. I often do it like in rooms by myself. I think it's a really powerful thing to do. So I'm gonna read all of Jorie Graham's first book, Hybrids of Plants and of Ghosts. I hope it mirrors the thing on the video so you can see it. This book is really special to me. I was also yelling about this online the other day, but like, if there's one person who's like the reason I'm a poet, it's Jorie Graham, because I saw her read at Bennington College in 2015, and I felt like a little light bulb like went on over my head. I was like, whatever. I didn't understand her poems at all. I was completely electrified, and I was like, whatever this poetry thing is that like this woman is on, I want to also be in it and on it and reading it, and I did. I think it's really common for people who like are not immersed in poetry to have this feeling that like there's like a secret code that you need to be given to like be allowed to read poetry, which I definitely felt, but I didn't know. I felt every time I looked at one of her poems, like I was like, I need to like jump into the sea now and allow the poem to like wash over me and like do a special alchemy thing. And that summer I stayed in town and I was working at this bakery that it does not exist anymore, but was called Crazy Russian Girls and was incredible. And at night I would read prose because that was what I felt comfortable reading, but then like before I fell asleep, I would read one poem each night. And that like, I think reading those poems that summer was like, it was my way into poetry. And that's my whole deal now. So that was a really big deal for me. I just like being sincere. But it's genuinely so important to me. So for the solstice, I wanted to read it aloud for myself, but also to share that with you, internet stranger, who might be listening. And I don't know, I like a video of someone like talking in a soft voice. Like I have terrible insomnia, and sometimes I will be awake but unable to do anything, and some videos like this have like helped me through some really rough times. So we are here in my studio in Clifton in Cincinnati, Ohio. We have a small glass that is too small to be a glass of wine and is the correct size for me. And we're just gonna read the poems. I'm not sure how much the audio is picking up here, but maybe you can hear the tender book sounds. This is off Princeton University Press. Yeah, I guess it was I thought this was like a Yale series of younger poets, but maybe I'm totally wrong. I guess it's the Princeton series. Yeah, this is Graham's first book. I was lucky to again see her read in Hudson in 2016, and I maybe embarrassingly brought her, this was like 30 years later. Like this book is 1980, and I asked her to read this, then. Oh, that's interesting. I think she was 26 when she wrote this book, and I asked her to sign it for me 26 years later. And she was really kind to me in 2017, not 26 years later, and signed it my first attempt, which felt special because of Virginia Woolf language about an attempt at something that I think about every day. And she said something really nice to me in real life that I will remember forever and ever. So thank you, Jorie Graham. Thank you, Princeton University Press. Thank you, my friend Romy's cat, Lurka, who doesn't live here but is here with us tonight. And thank you for hanging out with me and the poems. This book is called Hybrids of Plants and of Ghosts, which is a Shakespeare reference, I believe, from Hamlet, but I could be wrong, because I need to brush on my Shakespeare big time. But I used to have this first poem memorized, but I won't try to recite it for you from memory because I would simply fail. The way things work is by admitting or opening a way. This is the simplest form of current, blue moving through blue, blue through purple, the objects of desire opening upon themselves without us, the objects of faith. The way things work is by solution, resistance lessened or increased and taken advantage of. The way things work is that we finally believe they are there, common and able to illustrate themselves. Wheel, kinetic flow, rising and falling water, ingots, levers, and keys, I believe in you. Cylinder lock, pulley, lifting tackle and crane, lift your small head, I believe in you. Your head is the horizon to my hand. I believe forever in the hooks. The way things work is that eventually something catches. Hey, Lorca, are you going to come sit with me? No? You're going to sit on the boxes? Okay. I was taught 3 names for the tree facing my window, almost within reach, elastic with squirrels, memory banks, homes. Castaño took itself to heart, its pods, like urchins, clung to where they landed, claiming every bit of shadow at the hem. I can't pronounce this French word. Chasson on windier days, nervous in taffeta gowns, whispering on the verge of being anarchic, though well-bred. And then chestnut, whipped pale and clean by all the inner reservoirs, called upon to do their even share of work. It was not the kind of tree got at by default. Imagine that. Not me. Not one in which only the remaining leaf was loyal. No, this was all first person, and I was the stem, holding within myself the whole bouquet of 3, at once given and received, smallest road maps of coincidence. What is the idea that governs blossoming? The human tree clothed with its nouns, or this one just outside my window, promising more firmly than can be, that it will reach my sill eventually, the leaves silent as suppressed desires, and I a name among them. Okay, now my screen just went dim. I have to make sure we're still recording. Yeah, we seem to be just fine. Okay, Lorca has settled in. I know you can't quite see her, but she's there at the foot of the bed. Reading these poems just it makes, the scene in Thelma and Louise where I can't even remember who's who. One of them turns to the other one and says, these women's lives are fucked. And one of them says, I feel awake. And it's the best part of the movie, I would argue. And in a completely different way, but reading these poems makes me feel really awake and calm at the same time. And it's possible to have a brain and live in the world, which is a very overwhelming and full of contradictions-y place, but in a way that feels possible. That's a pretty big deal. Whore's bath. But the water will not undress me, and where its coins on my body accumulate, the sun builds its church, the soap its greenhouse. They need remain empty. Oh, when will the whole become a permanent mirage? Kneeling, I can go abroad into my face, making both the real and its proof disappear. What a fabric. Yet what can it fashion, spirit unfastened, to reveal the blackest of urchins losing itself in its love of knots? Lifting the pan, white water starts at the nape and disappears into the waistline, absolving each roving of skin like the brazen descents of continents to water from the single idea of their summit. The clean is such a steady garment, such a perfected argument. Where does it unfasten? When I stand again, I cast an exclamation mark onto the soil. It is so adamantly fragile, so believable. What runs down my body now runs into other seasons than this, but the water is left to venture round and round like a potential shadow, a suitor. Though I see nothing past the surface now, twisting my hair, a cord interrupted. Where wind picks up, crickets like rings on fingertips. At the last, what I desire is nostalgia for a moment different from another's moment, undressed, clean, all that you cannot give away. Ambergris. Because our skin is the full landscape and ocean, we must be unforgettable or not at all. Squids that are never seen alive surface to follow the moonlight on the water. Anything that flees so constantly must be desirable. In doing so, they run aground or are caught by their enemy, the whale. Sometimes fishermen hang paper lanterns on the prows of skiffs and row backwards towards land. It takes such a long time to believe in evidence. Consider the broken moon over the waves, the missing scent of moonlight on salt water. Eventually, pattern emerges. The giant squid is rarely seen alive, but whalers often find it dead in whales. There it exudes the powerful fragrance. Its spirits, joy, fly-by-night, green paradise, always working towards what must become the finished. Ambery. What was her name? It moves before me, almost within reach. Jasmine, lavender, bergamot, rose. Yeah, I agree, Lorca. Right? It's fucking good. Oh my god, I need to give up coffee again because, like, bizarrely, my right eye has started, like, is twitching for, like, which is, it is not visible. Like, no one can see it, and yet, like, I feel it, and I'm like, like, I need to settle down. Spend less time, like, online or chaotically speaking to everyone and more time alone in my studio with poetry. I think this mug is really funny, or not mug, this like tiny goblet. It says 1960 to 1980 20-year class reunion, Clearview High School. It's from September 20th. It's adorable. It's like, look at that, look at the shape. It is just a perfect object. It's from Valley Thrift in Dayton, Ohio, which is the best thrift store, I will argue, in the goddamn USA. It was my my high school mecca paradise where I bought all my clothes, and it has only, like a fine wine, Valley Thrift has only gotten better over the years. It's impeccable. Shout out to Valley. I grew up around here, and my single ambition as a Midwestern teenager was to get the fuck out of Ohio, which I did. Like, I lived many other places for most of my 20s, and then I got into my PhD program in Cincinnati, and I was like, I don't know, like, do I really want to move back to the Midwest? And then I fell in love with Cincinnati. It's actually a really lovely city. I keep telling everyone I know that Cincinnati is the Paris of the Midwest. Not to be confused with the actual town called Paris, Ohio, or Paris, Kentucky. There are a lot of Parises. There's Paris, Texas, great fucking movie. But anyway, you know, I think Cincinnati is really its own city of light. City that is the queen of my heart. Okay, Tennessee, June. This is the heat that seeks the flaw in everything and loves the flaw. Nothing is heavier than its spirit, nothing more landlocked than the body within it. Its daylilies grow overnight, our lawns bare, then falsely gay, then bare again. Imagine your mind wandering without its logic, your body the sides of a riverbed, giving in. In it, no world can survive having more than its neighbors. In it, the pressure to become forever less is the pressure to take forever more to get there. Oh, let it touch you. The porch is sharply lit, little box of the body, and the hammock swings out easily over its edge. Beyond, the hot ferns bed, and fireflies gauze the fat tobacco slums. The crickets boring holes into the heat the crickets fill. Rock out into that dark and back to where the blind moths circle, back and forth from the bone-white house to the creepers unbraiding. Nothing will catch you. Nothing will let you go. We call it blossoming. The spirit breaks from you and you remain. Hybrids of plants and of ghosts. I understand that it is grafting, this partnership of lost wills, common flowers, that only perfection can be kept, not its perfect instances. Snapdragon, what can I expect of you, dress of the occasion? So I am camouflaged, so the handsome bones make me invisible. It is useless. Randomness, the one lost handkerchief at my heart, is the one I dropped and know to look for. Indeed, clues. How partial I am to bleeding hues, to clustering. Almond, stone fruit, You would be a peach, an apricot, but see how close you can come without already being there, the evening pulled in at your waist, slipping over your feet, driving them firmly into place, the warm evening saying, step, anywhere you go is yours, sweet scent in a hurry. To bloom is to be taken completely, white petals, creaseless and ambitious. May I break your even weave, loosen your knot, and if I break you, are you mine? Angels for Suzanne. The almost invisible shuttlecock at dusk floats over the fine net, coming to bloom in the empty gardenia bush. Not because happiness exists, but because it can be deduced from continuities such as these: yew trees, dark windows holding back dark sky, white flower. Here at the edges of belief, the boundary the kites have crossed, breaking away, is what holds still too long that belongs to us. The gaps between the trees move more rapidly. You can feel them in your kite's crisp desire the moment before it leaves you. Above in the garden clouds, home away from home, tails drawn back in and tucked into the pattern, the gentle kites find suddenly what cannot hold them come. Cylinder, sphere, and signature like breath, scoring the pain between us. Cross stitch. There is a cricket I can't find, trapped in this house, loud and lost, though thoroughly at home. He sings when I turn the lights on. Nothing is louder than his perpetual failure to recall just how he came here. Within our life is another life, a second memory of the same event where we forget. Without, we are able to listen to someone else's story, believe in another protagonist, but within, his presence would kill us. In our best world, the absolute fragrance of fully ready pears, becoming their portion of sunlight, opens into us, arriving by losing its way. Theirs is another destination, a form of pride that blossoms into ours, taking its measure. In that world of lost directions, the catalpa have dressed in their fringes for the single occasion of our interest, and the willows reach further than the soil to lock their fingers with the weeds. Yet outside, the perfect arrivals of their green circuit, anything can translate its loss into ours. This cricket, for instance, finding the way from there to here, and finding the way to lose it. Okay, I need water, but I don't feel like pausing, so you're just gonna get to admire the lofted ceiling situation of this outrageously perfect apartment. I had a pretty fucked up year. If anyone is watching this who knows me, you probably know that. But I was talking to new coworkers at my job, at my restaurant job today. And I was like, everything that happened in my life was worth it to lead me to this studio, where I feel like I'm gonna like go full art girl and take up painting again, and I don't know, read history books in the afternoon and buy myself like little flowers, which I did the other day. It feels like a really good space. And I'm so glad to invite you into it through the haze of the internet. Cheers. I keep feeling like what I've been doing to write book reviews lately is actually a little unhinged. I have to read the entire book into a voice note to myself, and then I listen to it like 7 or 8 times, and then a mysterious alchemy happens where like I like merge with the poems, and I'm like, now I can ethically find myself allowed to write about this. Now that I like, anytime I read something out loud, I think I do criticism like subconsciously, and now I'm just like, oh, it's just sound. Like, she's just looking at stuff and talking about it, but like in a way where like there is like subtle syntax action happening that's like pulling you around the sentences. And you know, there's like loads of criticism on Jorie. I haven't even engaged with very much of it, but like reading these out loud, I'm just like, oh, like these work because like you can feel the attention, and also like the syntax enacts the attention. Like, yeah. Like show don't tell, but instead of show, it's just like make it felt through words. Yes. Strangers. Indeed, the tulips change tense too quickly. They open and fly off, and holding absolutes at bay, the buds tear through the fruit trees, steeples into sky. Faith is where we are less filled with ourselves, and are expected nowhere, though it's better to hurry. The starlings keep trying to thread the eyes of steeples. It's hard. You can't cross over. The skin of the pear tree is terse like the pear, and the acorn knows, finally, the road not taken in the oak. We have no mind in a world without objects. The vigor of our way is separateness, that infinite finding itself strange among the many. Dusk, when objects lose their way, you throw a small red ball at me, and I return it. The miracle is this, the perfect arc of red we interrupt over and over until it is too dark to see, reaches beyond us, to complete only itself. I might end up having to get up to get more water. I always forget how much of your voice you have to use to really say something. See how we're doing on my little wine glass. At this new restaurant job, it's at a place called The Aperture in East Walnut Hills, and it's literally, I'm really excited about it, but I'm gonna actually learn about wine, and it's really ironic because even in my job interview, I was like, yes, I enjoy wine, but I'm a grad student. I don't know, I like the French one with the chicken on the bottle. It is $10, and it's a reliable companion. There's a real wine list, and I'm very excited to learn about all of it, but I was just I don't, I've never made more than $26,000 in a year of my life. What? I can't imagine spending real money on wine. Who does that? Anyway. This is a Boda box wine that I bought at the Walgreens, and the tiny box, it's adorable. It's perfection. I'm there is no better situation than this. Drawing wildflowers. I use no colors, just number 3s, and though I know there are gradations I will miss, in this manner change is pressure brought to bear, and then, as if something truthful could be made more true, the spider webs engraved on all successive sheets, flowers inhabited by the near disappearances of flowers. Having picked one, I can start anywhere, and as it bends, weakening, ignore that. I can chart the shading of the moment, tempting, though shading changes hands so rapidly. Yet should I draw it changing, making of the flower a kind of mind in process, tragic and animal, see how it is rendered unbelievable. I can make it carrying my fatigue, or make it dying, the drawing becoming a drawing of air, making flower-like wrinkles of the afternoon, meticulous and scarred. Brought indoors and moored to vases, unwavering light, I can take my time, the passage then is lonely, something high and dry and gotten used to, something noble. A bouquet is another thing, purple lupin, crimson paintbrush, pink forget-me's clash. One can try an imitation, indication by default, a suggested real, though not the same, a difference from which not enough is lacking. Watercolors could achieve the look of it, two matched but hostile lands, resigned to their frontiers, but it's an abstract piece, magenta meeting crimson, crimson scarlet. But these in our fields, the real, the sheet of paper, the bouquet, will not negotiate, and how I love my black and white and the gray war they make. Oh good, we have a section break, okay. Oh, Lorca, I can't possibly get up now. You've come to join me. I feel extremely blessed. Baby. Lorca's the star of the show right now. I hope you can hear her purring. Mother's sewing box. in an old cookie tin, because things last longer in the dark. She needs to be left alone. Here are saved the bits of string too small to save the eyes of the needles. On the string, the knots are birds that sit, that cannot leave. The buttons are wheels. Assemble them, these uneven machines, and they say how much for effort, or wait, I've changed my mind, I want to come along. To disobey is to hide or to be unmended. Maybe you'll find it, she says, after I've said I don't have, didn't take her belongings. The spools of thread form a train. Swarms of startling cry, we are pins, pins. We are going so fast. Maybe you'll find it, maybe you'll find it. Lazy Susan got a black eye. The needle, covering its tracks, makes a pattern of its incisions. The pin cushion with its pocked body snapped quills. And if she isn't gone, she lives there, still. For my father, looking for my uncle. The clues are everywhere, between the trees, small drafts that make the forest visible. It takes forever to believe the dead are friendly. We feel their unwillingness in the pines motioning their needles in small reprimand. In West Virginia, they are marked with bouquets on the lawn, at the end of each bouquet, a hand that can't let go, and each in his own drawer at once hidden and found. My father buried his brother's ashes here in a jar with a bottle of rye. Later, he didn't want him drinking alone. Where did you go? Fall, the trees go elsewhere, leaving behind with us their heavier plumage, unfit for travel. Look beneath the carpet of yellow leaves, or in the fragments of the broken teacup still tasting of smoke. Christmas, we opened the calendar windows, one each day, until we believed there was another indoors, assiduous, free, a small community, a dream with shutters. The chicory comes out late August in Umbria. Fall, there is open season on songbirds. You eat them whole. Late August, they sing all night and line up on the wires as if to make of their bodies small notes. A very simple song of theirs, almost a straight line like the men going home. Looped strings over their backs. Their dogs, faithless but willing to be owned. Or is it because? You cannot enter, says the bird song. You cannot enter, says the 13th century. You cannot, says the sky, dropping and forcing you to look away. The chicory comes out late August, purple heads like grass skirts, covering what I used to take for nakedness. Because they are wild, they are useful. Once upon a time, they say, she got him after all. Syntax. Every morning and every dusk like black leaves the starlings cross, a regular syntax on wings. The gravestones lean, each more or less than its neighbor, as if to find a whole view. Not unlike the way, in a crowd, we move to exclude others without degrading them, or how we wish in conversation to step aside without stepping back, or in desire. They say the eye is most ours when shut, that objects give no evidence that they are seen by us. Perhaps we move then to watch a tree stay still or move the other way from us, to feel not so much its distance as its loss. When the pond froze, we carved our names on its delicate surface, jumping from letter to letter to hide our tracks. I misspelled mine out of excitement, seeing it so big and knowing it would last, till the first thaw threaded the water like a needle. Spring, we hunted bullfrogs. We caught the ones that sang. Oh, I just caught a reference that a friend of mine made to my favorite book that I never noticed before, and I'm very happy right now. Sorry, Lorca, did I disturb your peace? Lorca, do you want to say hi? Yeah. 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 I'm sorry. I don't want to be a video cat. Yes. You're very tolerant of my affections. Wow, doing a video is so funny because I was like, I'm a performance of like a woman snuggling a cat, but the cat is real. She's right here. She's so snuggling. Yeah, I know. It's fucking weird to have a self and to share it with others in any way, ever. You have it made, kiddo. You don't have to talk to anyone. Tree surgeons. Yeah! What? You mad? Are you hungry? I don't think it's time for your dinner yet. I have to text your mom and ask what time I'm supposed to feed you. Go play with something. Go scratch the post. Go destroy my boxes. Tree surgeons. Like feelers off into last night's dream are out beyond the screens. They move in approximate circles around my neighbor's elm. Gleeful performers, they know they belong here, drawing their large bows, toothed strings across each branch with great discrimination. What crooked instruments! And yet, symmetry governs. There's an elm of two nests, two squirrels, a skinny elm of split decisions. How evenly it is rid of itself, tree of no nuance, no preference, of no cardinals loading red onto the sunny half. My neighbor sweeps the porch. It is taking longer than expected. There is no temporarily, she thinks. I think she secretly admires the dust, how evenly each grain falls into place, as if grown upward from the meaning of the thing itself. Davenport, commode, more even than forgiveness, better even than the clean slate of you were only dreaming. The tree is almost done. Offspring to main line, now everything is sure where it began. My window splits in two, her elm, then mine, shaggy, headed some other way. Like one who leaves and the other who remains, they are each other's constant, sullen victims, and yet safe from one another. The daylight has gone, although we are not yet in darkness. I stand at my window. The light draws in. I cannot say why, but they are much too safe from one another. Netting. My father would have saved us had the occasion of fire arisen. Sundays, each at our post, we practiced, his fine network of hoses lacing into perfect webs, so much water, and each of us a knot. We felt so safe in manning. I never really understood the underpinnings, miraculous nation beneath the smooth lawn, a private patriotism. Nothing again was ever as dangerous, as vulnerable. I know of father less than I imagine, but in the end, all that we can know of anyone is what we promised them. I know, therefore, that fire is something we can catch unwittingly like cold, and that these tiny roads woven round and round our property like a spare set of roots is what we really are, a shadow map, a future kept alive by met commitments. And at these junctions, the world seems as private as public, a well-kept secret kept by all. Just as deep in a cave, life can survive only because of forms of life outside that will persist in entering. So, water to save us, and profound curiosity, casting and trawling and building a surface, able to truly hold us, like gossip, or the smell of lilacs, or an overheard song. Soon everyone has caught it. Oh damn, I just realized that like a whole thing that I do in my unfinished work in progress is like, I didn't even know. I didn't know that I was like calling on Jorie Graham, but I totally was. Wow. This is like, you're watching me have a real experience with this book right now. It feels like too personal. But that's okay. That's what poetry's like. I need some water to save myself. I think I can pause this and then keep going. Yeah, okay.